All right, let's get started with our first Factory IO lab. We will be using two different softwares here. One, the TIA portal V19, which we have already started with, but now we are adding the addition of Factory IO. For Factory IO, you do need a physical PLC, like the one in the bottom corner here. We are going to hook to it via Ethernet. We are going to communicate with it. We are going to program on it. We're just not going to use any of the physical inputs and outputs. We will be working in a virtual space. So go ahead and get started. I would open up TIA Portal and I would open up Factory IO. And once those both get loaded, we will return back. All right, we're currently in Factory IO. This is the welcome screen. You can see a couple different resources here. Starting over on the side, we start in documentation and tutorials. This is a good spot, especially getting started when you're trying to figure out what is Factory IO, how does Factory IO work. So up here, there's a bunch of links, like getting started, for example. If I click on that, it takes me to a web browser and gives me the basic information of getting started. Walks me through some navigation, how I can move around the screen with the different camera angles, opening scene, closing, opening, closing, creating, connecting to a PLC, a bunch of good resources here. Make sure that if you get stuck on something or you're looking for the how to do something, make sure always to look at these resources. Manuals, parts, scenes, what's new. Down here is tutorials for different types. Siemens tutorials and examples. Obviously, they have Allen Bradley and other PLC models, but take a look at those. Moving down, we can hit New. This is where you could create a scene. Right here, so as you can see, we're in a blank warehouse. If I stand on the floor here, I think I can hit this person view. There we go. I can hit a person view, and this is just like I'm standing on a factory floor, right, in a warehouse. Obviously, there's no equipment in here now because I hit New Scene. If I come back up here to Home, I can hit Open Scene, where if I made any scenes in the past, I can look at them. Or I could just go to straight scenes, and this is where you all are going to go because we're going to start with some of these pre-built ones. They have some pretty cool pre-built scenes just to get used to it and start working with it. Maybe we'll create our own scene at a time, or maybe you want to play around with it and create your own scene. Obviously, go ahead. But we're going to start on scene 1 right here for your lab this week. So we are going to open up scene 1. And you can see it is just a conveyor with a tote on it. There's one motor that drives this conveyor, so it's all one output. And we have one sensor at the end here. So what your assignment is just to write a program that runs this conveyor and turns off on the sensor so the box doesn't fall off. In the navigation here, we have a play. If I hit play and my PLC is running and there's any logic that needs to be executed, it will start in motion. I can pause it. When your box runs to the end here, you can hit this reset button and bring it back to the beginning. You can run the simulation at different time scales. Right here is all of your cameras. So right now we're in Orbit Cam. So if I right click, I can pan around. If I hold my scroll wheel down, I can move side to side. You also have person view. So now this is like I was on the factory floor and I'm actually using my arrow keys right now. So I'm using my arrow keys to walk around this factory, and then I'm right clicking to look different directions. So a couple different views here, which is pretty cool. We have our camera windows. We have our sensor tags. So you can turn on and off your sensor tags, and you can turn on and off your actuator tags or your outputs. And then this, because we're in a scene, I was going to say this is where you can, because I'm running. That's what happens. So this is all the different pieces. So boxes, pallets, conveyors, turns, turntables, belt conveyors, panels and e-stops, all of the above. Really cool system here in Factory IO. So let's close that out. So now that we've looked around Factory IO, let's go and get hooked up to our PLC. All right, let's go ahead and get connected to our PLC. To do so, we come up here to these menu buttons up here. So we have File. This is just like most applications. We have New, Open, Save, Save As, Options, Drivers, and Exit. We'll get back to these options and drivers here in a second. Edit. We can undo anything we've done down here. View. We can work at our camera angles. We can toggle if we want the tags on it to visually show. We can show stats, sensor ranges, things like that. We are going to be over here in the file menu. I'm going to come to options here. Options, you can look at your video modes, look at your general settings. If you want to see what controls, what keyboard things do what, here is all of the keyboard things. Licensing. If something isn't working and you come in here and it says you're on a trial license, now I am on a trial license currently. We have activation share codes for right here. So on those three laptops and one desktop along the wall in the classroom, we can put the activation share codes in. I'm still working on this trial and it hasn't expired yet, so I'm still fine. So if I back out and then go to drivers, drivers is really where you're going to spend most of your time. You can see here that we have some sensors or some inputs, and we have some actuators or some outputs. So up here where it says none, this is where you need to pick your PLC. You can see a bunch of different PLC brands here. We are obviously in the Siemens S7 1200/1500. Once we click on that, you can see we get a PLC block here, and our inputs and outputs have been assigned to inputs and outputs on our PLC. An important thing to note is since we are working in a virtual space, we cannot use physical inputs and physical outputs. So like 0.0 is an actual output or input on our PLC. We can't use that. We have to put an offset in here. If I click on configuration, I can select auto connect to my PLC. I will do that. I won't enter the host IP right now. I won't mess with any of this other things, but down here in the inputs and outputs, I want to put an offset of, I always put 10. So I do that, and then we just go back. So you can see here now that the addresses now are 10.0, 10.1. This is in the virtual space, right? This would be if we added 10 inputs and output cards to our side of our PLC, we would eventually get here, which is impossible for most of ours. So now we are definitely in a virtual space and we are ready to go. So the next thing we have to do is physically get connected. You can see we have a red exclamation point up here, meaning like, hey, there's nothing, I don't see anything. And to do that, we need to jump over to TIA portal to get connected there. All right, moving over to TIA portal. What I did is I went ahead and I just started a new project. I called it Factory IO Lab 1. So I had to do the whole configuration thing like we did in my first project. So add your PLC, download to your PLC, go online. I'm online. Everything is green. I have no program in here right now. That's fine. I just need to make sure I'm online. So now that I'm online here, I need to come to online diagnostics. I need to come to the Profinet interface. And what we need to do is we need to copy this IP address. Most of them are going to be the same. That is the default IP address for a Siemens PLC. But just in case, always double check. So we come in here and copy that. Now, going back to Factory IO, up here to configuration, this is where we need to put that. So I can paste that right in there, and now it knows what to look for. Next important thing is a network adapter. This is where you're plugged into. So I have a couple different ones here. You will probably have Wi-Fi and then a family controller. Um, this Realtek Gaming family controller, that is the Ethernet card in my laptop, so physically plugged into. Where this Wi-Fi is if I was wireless. I'm physically plugged into that PLC, so I'm going to hit this family controller. I don't need to mess with this. It's already putting the right number of inputs and outputs. Remember, I do need to put that offset here just so we are in the virtual space, not the physical space. And I am going to then hit back. You should double check here to make sure your sensor says 10.0 and your output says 10.0 and that everything looks good there. Hopefully, if it all works and you're plugged in, we should be able to hit connect. And there we go. Now we have a green light here. That means we are fully connected and fully communicated with our PLC. So now, using these numbers right here, we need to write this program. All right, to start programming, to make this easier on ourselves, we can obviously take a picture of this, come over here to TIA portal and type those tags in. It would still work as long as the addresses are the same. But what we can do is we can use Factory IO to write these for us. Down here in the corner, we can hit this export button. And it says exported tags successfully. So that created a file for us. If we hit open folder, just so we know the location, it is in my documents and then Factory IO. And then I exported this twice because I tried it just a second ago. And so either one of these are it. So now we minimize this. We come over to TIA portal and hit show all tags. We now have export and import buttons up here. So we should be able to hit import and find that file. So if I go to my documents, Factory IO, and find that tag file we just made, I should be able to hit open and should be able to hit OK. Import successfully. And there we go. So here we see our sensor. We see it's a bool. We see its address. There's a Factory IO running. It always comes over. We're not going to use that one at this point. And then we have a conveyor. So there's your tags ready to go. Now we can come back over here and start programming. So if I come back over here, if I just throw a coil here, and since I already have my tags, I can just click on conveyor. And so now I just have a conveyor running. I want to compile this and I want to download because you can see now my PLC doesn't match what's on my computer. I want to download this and then jump back over to Factory IO so you see what that looks like. We'll give this a second here to download. And here we go. I'm going to hit the monitor. So if you see our program right now, this output is on, right? We have a green line all the way across, meaning this output is on. Whatever that is hooked to is running or is actuating. If we come back over here to TI or to Factory IO and go back, you can see that's not running, right? That doesn't match. Well, that is because of these play buttons, right? So if I hit my play button, it essentially uses any PLC logic, and if it's stopped or paused, it won't. So if I hit my play button, There we go. So the conveyor is running because the PLC is telling it to. Now that box is going to run the whole way off the end because I didn't have any stop behind it. I can hit stop here and see it resets it. I can just let it play. I can pause it, or if it falls off the end, I can hit this reset button and just puts it right back. If I kind of put these side by side, if I could do that here, you can now kind of see that. Kind of. So you can see my program's over here. My conveyor is running over here. If I zoom in, I can see it running. And I can keep resetting my box to test it. So that is how you get connected. That is how you communicate between Factory IO and TIA Portal. Hopefully this is a good introduction that we can just keep building off of this. Obviously, my program is not complete because there's the box is falling off the end. I encourage you to complete this, play around with it, make your own scenes, just use it as a fun training tool while you're waiting on some of the physical labs to come available. All right, that is it. Thank you.